This hangout on there is live. Okay. So you want to learn how to program. You want to learn how to code. You learn that to make six figures, you don't necessarily have to go to college for 4 years. You learn that there's people out here that are making 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, $130 an hour. Of course, the percentage of those people, it gets like sliced and I don't know, it just gets sliced and chopped the higher you go. But you learn that, well, you don't have to put in 4 or 5 years to be a software developer, to be a professional programmer. That sounds good. Think about what you could do with all that money. How would you like to pull, you know, $3,000 every couple of weeks as your paycheck? Well, how would you like to pull $3,000 each week? How would you like to pull $4,000 each week? Well, I could teach you. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take whatever you're willing to demonstrate. And what I mean by that is, if it were easy, then everybody would be doing it. But I believe in these first world countries, if you happen to live in a first world country, that in order to have a certain type of opportunity, in order to earn your living, well, you should demonstrate why you should have things in life. And if you don't have it, then some people may argue that you don't deserve it. So that's my intro to probably this series of learning to program with F sharp. And the intent of, I don't know if this is going to be a trilogy. I don't know if this is just going to be something that I just do randomly, but the intent of this is to, one, why start from the bottom when you can start from the top? Why learn Java? Why learn C sharp? Why learn Ruby? Why learn some of these or most of these mainstream programming languages that are like alrededor de 20 años, around 20 years old? Like, why? There's millions of people that already have a head start. They're already ahead of you. Why do you want to pick up uh, an archaic language that probably has another maybe 10 years before it's no longer mainstream? Why would you want to start from behind? Monkey see, monkey do. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you don't want to compete with folks like me that have, 15 years, 20 years programming in these 20-year-old languages. No. What you want to do, you want to cut in line and be one of the first people to establish themselves as a technical authority in functional programming languages that are more than likely are going to be mainstream in probably 6 to 8 years from now, with emphasis on mainstream. Okay. These languages are gaining popularity each year. The number of developers are increasing. The ecosystem that hosts these programming languages are expanding. And well, I want to help you earn your living that you were meant to have, that you were meant to live, right? So, learning to program with F sharp. F sharp is it's a programming language that's been around, I think. I need to like do my research, but I thought that it was introduced in 2008, I thought, by Don Syme. He's the same language designer that introduced generics into the C# programming language. Okay. And well, I think F# programming language was introduced in 2008. We are in 2018, almost or halfway or more than halfway through it, 2018. And I think that it's to your advantage that you learn a functional programming language at the same time that you learn how to program. Because I have reason to believe that it's going to be easier for you to be productive, extremely productive, 5-6 years from now when this becomes mainstream, than to wait 5 or 6 years and then have to spend the next year and a half completely forgetting everything that you learned about professional software development in regards to programming, hence paradigm. So, I don't know. I think I preached enough to the choir. So, what's going to be the first exercise? Well, if I share my screen, then, I'm sharing my screen. And hopefully you downloaded Visual Studio. It doesn't matter what version of Visual Studio you download. What I mean by a version, what I meant to say was like license type, whether it's community or professional or enterprise. I have community, and well, I'll show you a sneak peek of what code looks like in F#. So make sure you install Visual Studio. I recommend Visual Studio Community Edition. And it's probably going to take a while for that to download. But hopefully you can get to a point where you can start writing some alien hieroglyphics, kind of like what you see on this screen right here, which probably isn't legible, even to the most senior object-oriented programmers. And the thing is this is actually what you're looking at. This file is actually it's actually like remnants of object-oriented programming, right? So what I mean by that is F# supports both object-oriented programming and functional programming. And well, object-oriented programming still has its place, especially if you want to like render stuff to a user. You don't have to use object-oriented programming to do that. Elm is a functional programming language for the browser, and so it basically relies on functional programming syntax to basically display a user interface. But anyways, you have code that may look like this, where on login, you take an email and you have a password and you try to log in. And the result of that trying to log in is going to basically be some events, and we just broadcast those events. So you could have code that looks like that, right? Or you can have code that, let me see, looks like maybe this right here. All alien hieroglyphics. Or you can have code that looks like this. All alien hieroglyphics. Or you can have code that looks like this. All alien hieroglyphics. And well, my intent is to, over time, over videos, hopefully, if I don't tap out, to demystify these alien hieroglyphics into chunks of information that will contribute to you earning your living as a professional software developer that focuses on functional programming. Okay. And maybe later I can share with you how real professionals they test their software programmatically, hopefully most of it, and they don't rely on manual testing. Manual testing's for monkeys. Real professionals, like they write programs to test programs, and I want you to be in that school of professionals, right? This is how you earn your living. You test your code because you have standards that you hold yourself to. Tests such as these right here. Can't log in if missing email, and is validated should equals false. And what else do we have? We have a portal, provide placeholders if less than 3 links, whatever that is. Yeah, I think I scared you enough with like this alien hieroglyphics. My OCD is taking over. Now something tells me if should I just make it line up like this? Maybe. I think I like the way that looks. Like that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my OCD is taking over. So let's get out of this solution and let's close this and let's start from scratch of learning how to program with F#. So within Visual Studio, you could say File, New, Project, and we are going to select a console application. This says .NET Core. There's another one that says .NET Framework. I'm not sure which one to pick. Hopefully it should just work, right? .NET Core probably is going to be future-proof for a while. And so in the name, you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it My Console App, okay? And you can click OK, right? Like Console App project templates right here. File name, My Console App, you can hit OK. And guess what? Shoot, why is there red squigglies on here? Installing Microsoft 2.1. Okay, so guess what? When we hit OK for basically our console application, we already have code written for us. Okay. And if we run this, well, first, if we build it, and you need to be a professional developer, right? And so we try to refrain from using the mouse or the trackpad for most of the operations within the IDE. And IDE is an integrated development environment. And so when we want to compile or when we want to build our solution and ensure that, well, our solution compiles, meaning that there's no errors at compile time, because this is a statically typed programming language, then we can do Control-Shift-B, B as in build. That's Control-Shift-B, and we build our solution, or we compile our solution. And you see right here it says build succeeded, right? That one is project. We only have one project in our solution. This is our solution up here. This is our project. Our project happens to be an executable called my console app. Okay, it only has one file. That file name is called program.fs. FS stands for F sharp. And the good folks at Visual Studio, for F sharp, they went ahead and they wrote the hello world for us. They already did that. As soon as you create a new solution for a console app, they already wrote this for us, so we don't have to write it ourselves. And so because this solution already builds, then we can just hit this play button up here. But remember, we're professional, so we don't rely on the mouse to hit a play button to run our application. To run our application, we just hit F5 because we're professionals. That's what we do. We rely on keyboards because it's faster. So you hit F5, and it ran, and it didn't do anything else. So what happened? I'll tell you what happened. I think what happened is it says return an integer to exit code. So what happened is it printed hello world from F sharp onto the console screen. And then the very next thing that it did was it exited out the program. And the comment says return an integer exit code. Well, I'm not sure what happens if we comment that integer out. And maybe if we do console control dot, okay, console's in here, dot read key, and that's probably a method. If I do pipe that into ignore, 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 and is that going to be happy? It's not happy. Ignore the pass value. What's the problem? What's the actual error? It says type mismatch, expecting a console info. Okay. Let's say let value equal. And then I don't know if we just do 0 right here. And if we, I think that should have worked. I really think that I should, come here, that we should be able to just do something like this. Ignore. Why is this so hard for me to type? Ignore. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Maybe because ignore is only for the functional aspect of this programming language. And console.read key, well, that's a method. That's not really a function. And that, yeah. Anyway, you hit run. Hopefully we can see the screen, because it's going to wait for us to enter a key. And when we enter in a key, then it's going to exit out. And we see that we have hello world from F sharp. And then I can press any key on the keyboard. And that's it. That's the end of the program. Okay. And that is the lesson for today. So what did we learn? Let's have a little retrospective. What we learned is when you create a new console application that's in F sharp, we automatically get a hello world application by default, and then you could delete it if you want and do whatever you want. Type in whatever code you want to type in to accomplish whatever objective that you're trying to accomplish. Okay. But this is all the code you need right now to write your first program that just happens to be in F#. And in order to accomplish that, you have to first download Visual Studio. I recommend Visual Studio Community Edition. And then you create you go to File, New Project, and you select a console application, regardless of if it's .NET Core or .NET Framework. In our case, we did .NET Core. And then it's going to create the solution, and it gives you a program.fs file, and it pretty much has this syntax right here in it. And in order to observe the hello world being printed to the screen, we used a console.readKey method that basically tells the program to wait for data to be entered via the keyboard, or for a key to be entered via the keyboard. And once that key is entered, then the program has permission to exit. And that's what we did right here. Okay, if we didn't have a console.readKey, then what we really had, well, one is it's not going to compile. But even if we put a 0 in here and then attempt to run it, the program will run, but it's so fast that we don't see the hello world. See? And that's it. So that is pretty much the end of my dissertation of hello world from F#. And maybe in another video, we can customize our hello world to print alternative messages to the user. And we'll introduce, more than likely, some data structures for handling that. And that's it. So I'm Scott Nimrod. And yeah, I'm a professional software developer currently in Miami by means of Cleveland, Ohio. And I want to help you build your skills. And I'm used to focusing on an audience that's kind of like advanced and helping them out. But there's some people that have been coming to me that want to change their lifestyles. They want to earn a type of new living. And why just work with one person if I could just pump out videos that they can reference that others can benefit from? And caring is sharing. So that's it. I'm Scott. I don't know. I'm always available to help. I like making money, so keep me in consideration if you know of any companies that need assistance, whether it's training or building some serious systems. And that's it for this video. So adios, and I am out. I'm going to hit